Hello, beautiful people. Today we are making this knitted black and white patchwork cardigan that is in the shape of a square. So easy to make. So let's begin. The basic equipment for this tutorial, it's this black yarn, a white yarn, I've combined the two, I'll tell you why, and this a combination of a black and a white yarn. A crochet hook, there is a 3mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tape measure, and this knitting needle. This is a 5mm knitting needle. You can see right there the 5mm. So let's begin. I'll begin by making one of the front panels, which I'll start with a black and white yarn. I'll start by making a slip knot. Now for this front panel, I'm going to make a total of 40 stitches. The first 20 stitches is in black color, and the rest 20 stitches are going to be in white color. So let's begin by making the stitches. So that's my first stitch. And I'll make the rest of the stitches. Now the reason why I combine the two yarn is because the yarn is too if I use one yarn, it will be too small for this needle. This needle is a bit thick, so I had to combine the two. Making the stitches. I'll make 20 stitches in black color. Then I'll pick my white yarn to form the rest of the 20 stitches, so that in total can be 40 stitches. This cardigan is made of knit and purl stitch, only 2 patterns. You can check out the in-depth tutorial about the knit and the purl stitch I did on my previous videos. So this is it. I've made some behind the camera, the rest of the 20 stitches. So to begin with, I'll turn my needle, and I'm going to begin with a purl stitch. I'm pushing the stitches close to the end of the needle so that it can be a bit loose. And then I'm going to pass my needle through the first stitch. You can see right there, and I'm going to use my yarn to wrap it around the needle, and then push it backwards to pick it on the other side and off the needle. So basically this is a purl stitch. I'm beginning with a purl stitch. So easy to make, using my needle to pass it through the stitches, and then wrapping the yarn around the needle, and then push it backwards to pick it on the other side. So easy to make. Anyone can do this. It's a repeated cycle. Of just passing the needle through the stitch and then using the yarn to wrap it through the needle. So this is the pattern right there. Again, repeat this. Push it downwards, pass it through, use the yarn to wrap around, and then I push it downwards to pick it on the other side. So this is the last stitch of the white yarn. Now to combine the two yarn, I'm going to, can see right there, pass it through the black stitch, and I'm going to use my white yarn over the black yarn, and I'm going to pick the black yarn to work to the rest of the stitches. Basically it's like a crisscross, crossing each other. So that's how you combine. You'll have to combine the two yarn, and then I'll continue the rest of the stitches using the same procedure, by passing the needle through the stitches and and I'll wrap it around. So this is, I've done some off camera, and this is how it has turned out to be. Again, I'll turn it my needle. Now this another pattern we are going to make is a knit pattern. The one you just did is a purl stitch, so this is going to be a knit stitch. With the knit stitch, it's almost the same way, but the difference is I'm passing the needle through the stitch so that my right needle can be behind the left needle. So that's the only difference that is there in knit and purl stitch. With the purl stitch, the right needle was in front of the left needle, but with the knit stitch, the right needle is at the back of the left needle. And we continue with the same cycle of just passing through the stitch and using the yarn to wrap it through the needle and push it to pick it on the other side and off the hook. So this is it, the last stitch. I'm going to show you again on how to combine the two. This is the last stitch of the black color yarn. Now combining the two, I'm going to pass the needle, the right needle, through the stitch. So this is it, passing the right needle through the stitch on the left needle. Then I'll pick my black yarn and I'm going to pass it over the white yarn. Over the white yarn, as you can see right there, over the white yarn. And then I'm going to pick my white yarn and use it to work it through the rest of the stitches. So this is it, the white yarn. When you have a black yarn, you work with a black color. When you have a black stitches, you'll use the black yarn color to work it. When you have the white stitches, you'll pick the white yarn to work so that you don't have to so that you cannot be confused and you ended up working on the black yarn on the white and the white yarn on the black. So basically that's how we combine the two, crossing each other. And then the rest of the stitches I'm going to work as normal as the one I had shown you and explained. So this is it. I'm done with the knit stitch. So this is how it has turned out to be. The knit stitch right there. So again, I'll turn my needle. So, and this is how my purl stitch is forming. Again, I'm going to work as the way I did on the first row, the purl stitch. It's an alternation of a purl and a knit stitch. We began by making the purl stitch and then we came to the knit stitch. Now we are going to make again the purl stitch. So this is it, as the way I told you earlier when we are working on the knit stitch. So this is how the purl stitch is forming. We are passing the right needle across through the stitches, that is so that the right needle can be in front on the left needle. So that's the only difference between the purl and the knit stitch. We continue same way. With the purl stitch, and when you get to the middle where you have to alternate the color, you just crisscross the two yarn. And this is it, done with the white stitch. Now to the black stitches. I'm using the yarn the white yarn to pass it over the black yarn, and then I'll pick my black yarn to work. I'll use my black yarn to work through the black stitches. Tight it a bit. And we continue same way till the end of these black stitches. You can see, guys, it's so easy to make. So easy. Anyone can do this. At this point I had to move faster because it's just the same way, the way I had already explained it. And this the last stitch. And this is how it has turned out to be, the purl stitch. You can see right there, that is the purl stitch. Again, turn my work, and this is the knit stitch, and I'm going to work on the knit stitch. Same way, but the only difference I had told you, the right needle, when you're making the knit stitch, then the right needle is behind the left needle, but while you are making the purl stitch, the right needle is in front of the left needle. So that's the only difference between the knit and the purl stitch. continue the same way. So in the middle, pass it my right needle through the stitch on my left needle, and I'm going to pass my black yarn, that the one I've been working on, I'll pass it over the white yarn. You have to be careful on this, by the way. You pass it over, not under the white yarn, and then you're going to pick the white yarn to work through the rest of the stitches that is in white color. You can see right there. Same way, pass it through the stitch and wrap it using the yarn, the needle using the yarn. Wrap it, and then you're going to pick it on the other side. So this is it. This is how it has turned out to be. Again, the knit stitch. So that was my fourth row. Remember, my first row was in a purl stitch, the second in knit. I repeat and then I came to repeat the purl stitch, and then now we have done with the knit stitch again. So I'm going to work it through the rest. So this is how I did some off camera, and this is how it has turned out to be. Have to make sure the patches are in 5-inch, and this is a total of 30 rows. That is turning out to a 5-inch. So you can see in the middle how the pattern is forming. So done with this, the first patch, and then I'll cut off my yarn. So the second patch, I'm using this yarn that is a combination of a black and a white yarn, and the white yarn. So to combine the two, I'll have to wrap my yarn through the needle, and we are just going to work as normal. So there's no big difference. There's nothing I'm introducing along the way. It's just the same way. So the only difference is that I'm using another color of yarn, but when you come to knit, you just do the same way as we had done. So at this point I had to combine the two so that it can make my work easier. I had to combine the white yarn, that is the one that is at the bottom, and the yarn that is I'm working at the moment, and I'm forming a knot using the two. I had to secure the end so that it can make my work easier. And then we'll continue with the rest of the stitches as normal. This combination of a black and a white yarn, I'm using it on top of the white yarn, that is the one I've just done previously. Or rather on the white stitches. You can see right there. Working on the white stitches. And then at this point I'm going to change the color to white yarn. That is, I'm going to work on the black stitches. Be keen on how I'm going to combine the two. I'm going to combine at this point. I'll wrap my white yarn around the needle and I'm going to purl stitch as normal on the black stitches. So easy, so easy to make. So at the point of combination, and at this point of combination, I'm going to I'll pass the combination of a black and white yarn that is there. I'll pass this yarn in the middle of the white yarn that is I'm working on at the moment. So that's there, the white yarn. And this black yarn. So I've passed the combination of a black and white yarn in between the white yarn and the black yarn that I did it on the previous work. You can see right there. And I'm going to tie a knot. I'm doing this to make my work easier. So that's there. So I did that to make my work easier and secure the ends. So the rest of the stitches I'm going to purl stitch as normal. See right there, purl stitch as normal. But at this time round I'm using the white yarn. So that's it. So this is the second batch of the color. The first batch was in the black and white. So the second batch of color is this white color and a combination of a black and white yarn. So this is it, the second batch. So easy to make. Then after, I'm going to turn my work, and we are going to knit stitch. Basically, when you're done with the purl stitch, you turn the work, and then the other pattern is the knit stitch. After done with the knit stitch, you turn your work, and then you purl stitch. Alternation of the two patterns, the purl stitch and the knit stitch, of which I did an in-depth tutorial of these stitches on my previous videos. You can check it out, where I did the in-depth tutorial of a purl stitch and a knit stitch, just in case you're not getting at this point. But it's just easy, I can tell you. So this is it, working on the knit stitch. So done with the white stitch. Now over to the combination of the black and the white yarn. Now at this point, we're just going to crisscross each other as just the way we did it on the previous work. Nothing new introduced. We pass the white yarn over this, the combination of the two colors, and then I'm going to work using the yarn to the rest of the stitches as normal. You can see right there. Absolutely nothing new introduced along the way. So easy to make. Anyone can do this pattern. So this is how my work is turning out to be. Let me stretch it out so that you can see it clearly. So you see, you can tell the differences when you're combining. So this is the purl stitch at the back. So that's how it is turning out to be. Now at this point, I'm just continuing with the purl stitch. as normal, just we purl stitch as normal. So easy to make. So right there you can see clearly. Now done with the combination of the two colors. At this point I'll just have to call it the combination of the two colors. Now I'll pass it over the white yarn, and I'm going to pick my white yarn and I'll work it through the rest of the stitches. You can see right there. So at this point I had to be fast. Continue with the rest of the stitches. Allow me to be fast at this point. You can see right there. Just continue the same way. Nothing introduced along the way. So easy to make, right? So done with the last stitch. So this is how the pattern is coming out. Don't worry about the yarn that is in the middle. I'm going to show you at the end of the tutorial on how we are going to get rid of the yarn. So this is how it is turning out. Done some work off camera. So this is how my pattern is coming out to be. So at this point I was done with one of the front panels. Now I'm going to cast off. By casting off, I'm going to purl stitch as normal. I'm going to purl stitch 2 stitches as normal. Then after, I'll use my left needle to I'm going to pass my left needle through the first stitch and over the second stitch. Again, we purl stitch again. And then use my left needle to pass it through the first stitch and over the second stitch and off the needle. At this point I'm casting off because I'm done with the front panels. I'm done with the first one of the front panels. So same way, purl stitch and then using my left needle to pass through the first stitch, over the second stitch and off the needle. again, same way. So at this point I'm on the last stitch of the white yarn. Same way, pass it over the second stitch, and then when you move to the other color, that is the black yarn from the white yarn. So this is how casting off is. This is what I mean by casting off. This is the pattern that is forming. Now I get to the middle with nothing introduced in new. We just pass it, the white yarn over the black yarn, and we cast off as normal. Now at this point I was done with the white yarn. Now continue with the black yarn through the rest of the stitches. Use your left needle to pass it through the first stitch and over the second stitch and off the needle. So this is, I did some off camera, and I'm almost at the end of the stitches. On the last stitch, just do it the same way. Pass it over the second stitch and off the needle. Now at this point you are left with only one stitch. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off this yarn. I'll extend it, the loop, you see it? It's like I'm tying a knot, and I'm going to cut off the yarn using the pair of scissors, and I'm going to push it back to tighten it to secure the end. So this is how I'll cut off my white yarn, and this is how my work is turning out to be. That is the pattern. By casting off, this is how it's forming. See right there. Now at this point I'll go ahead and make another front panel, but off camera. So that's there. This is the other front panel. Just right there, I did it off camera. You can see the variation in patches. So done with the front panel. Now at this point we are going to make the back panel, and the difference between the two, I'm using only 5 patches instead of 2 patches. I've used 5 patches. So at this point I'm quickly rushing through the work because I did some in-depth tutorial about this on the front panel. Just same way, 5-inch, a total of 30 rows. You can see right there I'm having 5 patches of color. I'll work it through the rest. So this is how my patches is forming. Has formed, I mean. I'm going to turn it so that I can combine the front panel. So that's my one of the front panel. I'll just put it just right in on top of the back panel. And the other front panel. So at this point I'm just going to seal at the top. So right there I'll go ahead and seal so that I can combine the two, the back panel and the front panel. So by sealing I have to turn it again so that I can have the knit pattern in front. Again, combine one of the front panels. The knit pattern, you see the knit pattern is facing each other. So this is how the black patch with the black patch, the white patch, the combination of the two. You don't have to combine the two patches, you see. What I mean by this is the black and white combination of the color of the black and white. I combine with the black patch that is in the back panel. I don't know whether we are getting what I'm explaining, but I'll show you in a bit. So by combining the two panels, I'm using this black yarn and this the crochet hook. That is the 3mm crochet hook. I'll use my crochet hook to pass it through the stitch at the top. can see right there, or rather I'm passing the crochet hook through the loops. Can see the loops. Then use my black yarn. So now to combine the two, I'm using a slip stitch pattern. Let me tie a knot at the end so that it can make my work easier. I have to tie a knot at the end to make my work easier. Now we continue by passing the crochet hook through the loops, on the front panel and the loop on the back panel, and I'll slip stitch. You can see right there. Pass it through both loops and I'll slip stitch. So that had to combine the black and the black part together. You don't have to confuse, so that you end up mixing the patches. I'll meet you in the middle. So this is it. So this is what I was telling you earlier. With the black and the black patch, you have to combine the two. You don't, so that you don't end up using, for example, you combine the loop on the black, that is the loop on the front panel, you come and combine it with the loop on the white loop on the back panel. So we had to be keen on this to make your work neat. So this is how it is turning out to be. This is how my work is turning out to be. Now to the next patch. You see, I've passed my crochet hook through the loop on this patch, the second patch of the front panel. Don't be confused between the two, the black and the second patch. So I'll pass my crochet hook through the white loop. Again, you repeat this same way. Pass my crochet hook through the loop. and I'm going to pass it through the white loop. You can see right there. Again, pass the loop. Come on the other side, you pass again the crochet hook through the white yarn, and I'll slip stitch the two. You can see the loop right there clearly. So I'll go ahead and work through the rest. Then I'm meeting you at the end, almost at the end, you see. Passing through the last loop of this color, of the combination of the two, and then I'll pass it through, and I'll pass it through the last loop on the white color, yarn, and I'll slip stitch, and that's my end. Here's my pair of scissors to cut this yarn. I'll tighten it a bit. So this is how my pattern is coming along. Flip the panel, I mean, and this is how my pattern is forming, or rather, when I combine the two, it's coming out. It's turning out to be. See the black and the black patch together, and the whites and the combination of the two. Don't have to mix the two in the middle. So at this point I'll go ahead and combine on the other front panel to the back panel. Just same way, a black patch to a black patch, a white patch to a white patch. So done with the combination. I did it off camera. So you see, in the middle of this patch, when you combine the two in the middle, it's forming a straight line. So I'll flip my work. So at this point I'm done with the front panels, done with the back panel. You can see right there my front panel. And I'll go ahead and work on the sleeves. So easy to make. Now with the sleeves, I'm going to use 4 patches instead of a 5 patch or a 2 patch. So this is my 4 patches, the black, white combination of the two, and the black. So I'll go ahead, I've made it same way, measure it same, 5-inch, the 4 patches, measuring 5-inch. So done with the sleeves. I did it some off camera. I'm just using 3 patches all along. First row of the first batch of the color, the second and the third. Now I did the other sleeve off camera again. So these are my 2 sleeves. So this is my cardigan, the front and the back panel. And I'm just showing you a demonstration on how I'm going to combine the sleeves. And those are my sleeves. I'll fold it into 2. And that's where I'm going to attach the sleeve, the right sleeve. And again on the other side I'll fold it again. And I'm going to attach it on the other side. That's where I'll go ahead and attach it. So, but first of all, I have to I have to combine the two. I'm lacking the words to explain at this point, but I think you're getting what I'm trying to say. I'm going to combine the ends using this iron and crochet hook. By combining the ends, I'll just use the same way, just as the way I did it previously, by slip stitch. I'll pass my crochet hook through the loops. But first I have to secure the ends before I work through the rest of the work. I'll have to secure the ends by tying a knot. And then you continue the rest of the work by slip stitch. You pass the crochet hook through the loops. You can see right there, pass it through the loops, and I'll have to combine the black to the black patch through the loops. You can see the loops right there. So on this other side, same way. You can see the loop. When you're keen, you can see the loop at the right there, and then combine the two. See, black to a black, a white to a white patch. Pass the crochet hook through the two loops. Passing it through the loops, and slip stitch. When you combine, this is how it's turning out to be. So I'll go ahead and slip stitch through these loops, I mean. Now it's seen, yeah, now you can see it clearly. So that's the loop, and the other loop on the other side. So a white to a white patch, and a black to a black patch. So did some off camera, and I'm almost at the end. A last loop to the last loop, and then I'm going to chain one, extend this loop a bit, and I'll use my pair of scissors to cut off, and then I'll tight this end to secure it. You can see right there. When you combine, it's turning out to be. And this is how my pattern is coming along. I love it. I absolutely love it. See, when you combine a black to a black, you see the So that's there, the combination. When you combine, this is how it's turning, a straight line. You can't tell the difference. So this is one of my sleeves, and I'll go ahead and combine the other sleeve. So this is the other sleeve. Same way, I just did it same way as the one I did on the other sleeve. Now with the sleeves, I'll use it. I'll go ahead and attach it to my cardigan. I'll go ahead and combine the two. I'll combine the sleeve to the cardigan. You can see right there, one of the sleeves. Now, by combining the sleeves, I'll use this crochet hook yarn, and the pins, you can see right there, the pins. I'm using the pins to secure to combine the two, or rather I'm combining the two, not secure, so that it can make my work easier while I'm working. You don't have to use pins. If you have bobby pins, you can use it. If you have a stitch marker, you can use it, or any other type of a pin, you can use it. It doesn't have to be this specific type of a pin. Again, I'll use the other pin on the other side, the pin on the other side, to combine it to there. What am I saying at this point? I'm sorry if I'm not clearly. I'm using the pin to combine at this point. See, right there. You have to be keen. You have to be keen when you're combining the two, so that you don't end up mixing the patches. So I'll go ahead and combine using the yarn and the crochet hook. So that's how I'm going to slip stitch. The pattern I'm using is just a slip stitch as the one I did it on my previously. Pass it through the loops. And then secure the end. Secure the ends. This is important. This is important for you. It is important for you to secure the ends to make your work easier. Again, I'm going to slip stitch through the rest of the loop. I don't know whether you can see clearly, but I hope you're getting just the way I did it on the previous the way I combine the back panel to a front panel is just the way I'm doing it. I'm just doing it the same way. Combining the two loops. Using a slip stitch. So I'll meet you at the point where I'm holding. I'll slip stitch through the rest. So yeah, I've gone ahead and slip stitched through the rest. Nothing new I've introduced along the way. Just slip stitch by following the patches, a patch to a patch. You have to be careful on this so that you don't combine the patches. By doing this, you're making your work neat. So this is how it's turning out to be. I just love it. Done with one of the sleeves. I'll go ahead and work through the other sleeve. Nothing new I'm introducing. I'm just using, I'll use same way. Or rather, I'll go ahead and combine the sleeve to the cardigan using the same way. So I'll go ahead and work on the other sleeve. So done with the other sleeve, and this is how it has turned out to be. So that's the other sleeve. And the other right sleeve right there. Now at this point we are done with the front panel, the back panel, and the sleeves. Now I'll go ahead and work on the curves that I'm going to attach at the end of the sleeves. I love my cardigan at this point. It's coming along. Then after the curves, I'll go ahead and work on the waist, and then the neckline. I'll finish by marking on the neckline, I mean. So at this point, I'm working on the curves. I'll go ahead and make the stitches as the way I did it at the beginning. With the curves, I'll make a total of 34 stitches. So that's my 34 stitches. I'll turn my work, I'll turn my needle. Now for a curves, I'll go ahead and work. I'll combine a purl stitch and a knit stitch. You can see right there. I'll begin with a knit stitch. And then I'll go ahead and work on the purl stitch. With this, you have to be, then when you're working on the specific pattern, your yarn have to be in, your yarn has to be in front of the needle. You can see right there. Now I'm working on the purl stitch. My yarn has to be in front of the needle, and then I'll turn my yarn to the other side and go ahead and make a knit stitch. Again, flip my yarn to the other side and make a purl stitch. So on the curves, I'm mixing the two patterns, that is a purl stitch and a knit stitch. Go ahead and make the purl stitch. So this is the knit stitch. I'm making 2 knit stitch, 2 purl stitch. I did some off camera, and I don't know whether you can see the pattern clearly, but I'll just show you in a moment. Go ahead and make a knit stitch. Then turn my yarn to the other side and make a purl stitch. Again, flip my yarn to the front side of the needle, and then I'll make a knit stitch. Just a repetition of the pattern, I mean of the cycle. A knit stitch, a purl stitch, a knit stitch, and a purl stitch, or rather 2 knit stitch, 2 purl stitch, till the rest of the stitches There's nothing new I'm introducing. Working on the purl stitch. Now I'm working on the knit stitch. A purl stitch and a knit stitch, a purl and a knit stitch, 2 purl stitch and a 2 knit stitch. A knit stitch, and a purl stitch. And I'll finish off with a knit stitch. So this is how it's coming along. This is how the pattern is coming along. A knit and a purl, a knit and a purl stitch. Now you can see it clearly. A knit and a purl stitch. So I've gone ahead and work through the rest of the pattern. I did a total of 15 rows. So at this point I'm done, and I'll go ahead and cast off the end. By casting off, I'll knit stitch two stitches, and then use my needle to pass over the first stitch over the second stitch. Again, I'll turn my yarn to the other side. Remember this, I had used up a knit stitch and a purl stitch. So when we have a purl stitch, I'll turn my work to purl stitch. And when we have a knit stitch, I'll turn my yarn to the front side of the needle to knit stitch. So I'll show you what I mean by this. So at this point, I'm purl stitching. See right there. Use my left needle to pass it through the stitch and off and over the second stitch. So now done with the purl stitch, I'll go ahead and flip my yarn to the other side, and I'll go ahead and knit stitch. And then just same way, using my needle to pass it through the first stitch and over the second stitch and off the hook. Go ahead and do 2 knit stitches. and off the hook. I'll turn my yarn to the front side of the needle and I'll go ahead and purl stitch. I've done 2 purl stitch. Then again I'll turn my yarn to the front and I'll knit stitch. You can see right there, turn my yarn to the front side and I'll go ahead and knit stitch. So this is how my curves has turned out to be. I did it off camera, as I believe you have gotten the pattern, and I'll go ahead and combine the two. I'll combine the two by slip stitching. Again, there's nothing new I'm introducing. I'll just slip stitch using this crochet hook and the loose and the yarn that is at the end. Again, pass my hook through the loops, and I'm going to pick one of the yarn to slip stitch. Again, just same way. Pass my crochet hook through the loops. And I'll slip stitch. So I'll go ahead and work through the rest. So this is it. Done the combining by combining the two. So this is how it has turned out to be. You can tell the difference, right? So with these curves, I'll go ahead and attach it to the sleeve. This is my curve. I'll flip it on to the inner side. I'll use my pins to attach the two. That is the curve and the sleeve, to make my work easier. And with this, you have to be careful when you're combining again at this. You can see my at the end of the sleeve is a bit wide as compared to the sleeve which I've just done. So I'll have to separate this sleeve into equal portion. You can see right there. I'll separate. I'm going to combine the two, that is the sleeve and the curves, in equal portion. Then I'll go ahead combine the two. And that's my last pin. I've combined the two. I've combined the curve. I've attached, or rather, I've attached the curve to the end of the sleeve using these pins in equal portion. And I'll go ahead and slip stitch as normal. So this is it. You can see it clearly. I've attached it in equal portion. So that's it. In equal portion. I'll just go ahead and slip stitch. So this is it. I've slip stitch. So I'll have to try it on to see whether it's fitting. So this is the front side of this cardigan. And I'll go ahead and try it on. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'll go ahead and do the other curve. I'll go ahead and attach the other curve to the end of this sleeve. So I was done. Now at this point, done with the curves. Now I'll go ahead and work on the waistband or the bottom ridge. But this time round I'll do it a bit different. Instead of working it alone and then I come and attach it, I'll go ahead and work on the cardigan just straight away. I'm going to form stitches through the loop. I'll pass my needle through the stitch and I'll use my yarn to form the stitches. You can see right there. So that's my first stitch. Again, the other stitch. I'll pass it through that loop, passing the needle through the loop, and I'm going to form a stitch. But before we go on, we go ahead through the rest, we have to secure the end. I've gone ahead and secure the end to make my work easier. You can see the loop right there. I'll pass my needle to form a stitch. I'm using, go ahead and pass it through the loop and pick my yarn on the other side to form a stitch. So at this point I'll go ahead and work through the rest. You can see right there, I'll work through the rest till at this point. So that's it. This is how it has turned out to be. After forming the stitches, I'll flip my work. I'll turn my work. And I'll go ahead and work through, and I'll go ahead and work on the waistband. I'll start by purl stitching. See, the way we did on the curves is just the way I'll go ahead and work on the waistband. It's a knit and a purl stitch of alternation of the two, a knit and a purl stitch. Alternation of the two. That's the knit stitch and a purl stitch. Two knit stitch and a two purl stitch. As I was telling you earlier, I'll just go ahead and work it like with the pattern which I did on the curves. So I'll go ahead and work through the rest. You can see I'll work through the rest. And at this point I was done. No. almost at the end, almost done with the cardigan. And I'll go ahead and work on the neckline. But with this, the pattern on the neckline, what I mean is, I'm using a straight needle, which I cannot go through the through the stitches till the end as the way I did on the waistband. So with this, I'll work on one side of the neckline, and then I'll go ahead and work on the other side of the neckline, and then I'll finish off with the middle part of the neckline, and then I'll combine the ends by slip stitch. I'll just show you in a bit, no worries. So with this, I'll go ahead and form the stitches. I forgot to mention something. So on the waistband, I did a total of 15 rows. Yeah, I did a total of 15 rows. Just the way I did on the calves, a total of 15 rows. So with this still, I'll go ahead and work a total of 15 on each side. So you're getting, no, this is what I was explaining earlier. I've used my needle to pass through the stitch on the one side of the neckline. I'll start by working on this side, and then when I'm done on this side, I'll go ahead and work on the other side, and then I'll finish off with the middle part. So this is it. The pattern which I'm using is just the same as the one I did on the waistband and the calves. I'll just go ahead and do an alternation of purl stitch and a knit stitch. So this is it, my yarn. I've started with the purl stitch. Then I'll flip my yarn to the other side, and then I'll go ahead and work on the knit stitch. So with this, I'll go ahead and make a total of 15 rows, just the way I did on the waistband and the calves, but there's a difference. There's a bit of a difference with this. There's no, okay, what I mean is I'll make a buttonhole on this side, of the neckline. So at this point, okay, what I was saying is I've gone ahead and did 3 rows. So on the 4th row, is where I'm making the buttonhole. You can see right there, that's my button. I'm testing out if it can pass through. So yeah, I'll, I'll show you on how to make the other buttonhole. I've done two. I'll show you on how to make the buttonhole. In total, I'm having 3 buttonholes for this cardigan. With this, I'll go ahead and flip 2 stitches from the left needle to the right needle, and I'll use my left needle. To pass it through the stitch, the first stitch which I passed over, and over the second stitch, and off the needle. Again, I'll go ahead and pass the stitch from the left needle to the right needle, and I'll use my left needle to pass it through the stitch on the right needle to pass it through the first stitch which I've passed over, and over the second stitch. Again, that's the second time. So this is the third time. Again, the fourth time. And again, the fifth time. So this is the fifth time. So I believe at this point my buttonhole can pass through. You can see right there. My button is a bit big, that's why I had to do it 5 times. Again. So this is the last round, and I'm going to pass my stitch from the right needle to the left. That's my stitch, and I'll flip my work. You can see right there. I flip my work. Now at this point, I'm going to knit through this stitch. Now I'll knit through the stitch, and then I'll go ahead and return the stitch that have formed back to the needle, and then through the new stitch I'll go ahead and form another stitch. So at this point we have 2 new stitches, and then again through the stitch I'll go ahead and form another stitch. So at this point we have 3 new stitches, and I'll go ahead and form another new stitch through the one I've just made. So this is the fourth new stitch. Again, we form another new stitch. This is the 5th new stitch. We have formed a total of 5 new stitches. And then I'll go ahead and make another last stitch. That is the 6th stitch, the 6th new stitch. You can see right there, we have 6 new stitches, equivalent to the one that we had cast off while you were beginning to make the buttonhole. Remember the one you were casting off? So these are the new stitches that are formed at the top. So these are the new stitches that have replaced the one that we cast off when we began to make the buttonhole. So I'll go ahead and pass the new stitches from the right needle to the left needle. I'll go ahead and pass the new stitches, only the new stitches that we have formed. So remember, if you cast 2 stitches, you're going to form 2 new stitches. If you cast off 3 stitches, you're going to form 3 new stitches. So at my case, I cast off 6 stitches, so I've gone ahead and form 6 new stitches. Then after, with the new stitch, I'll go ahead and knit as normal, only the new stitches that I've formed. I'll go ahead and knit as normal the 6 new stitches. Sorry about that. So that was my 3rd stitch, the third new stitch. Now this is the 4th new stitch, the 5th, new stitch, and then the last new stitch. This is the 6th last new stitch, which I'll knit as normal. Now from this point, you remember the pattern which we were doing? We were purl stitch. We were doing purl stitch and a 2 knit stitch, 2 purl stitch and a 2 knit stitch. So I'll go ahead and I continue with my pattern as normal. So at this point we had reached at the knit stitch. You can see right there, that's the knit stitch. And that's how that's how we form a buttonhole. So easy to make. So easy to make. So those are my 6 new stitches that are formed. So at this point I'll go ahead and knit and purl stitch as normal. Then flip my work to the front side of the needle and purl stitch. As normal. So so that's my buttonhole. You can see right there. So this is my buttonhole. I've done 3 buttonholes. So that's the first buttonhole, the second buttonhole, and the third buttonhole. So at this point I was on the 4th row. So I'll go ahead and knit and purl stitch till I get to the 15 rows. I'll slip stitch through the rest. I'll continue with the pattern through the rest of the stitches, and then I'll go ahead and come on the other side. I'll continue with the normal pattern through the new stitches that have formed. So that's what I had told you. That's what I was telling you earlier. I did one side of the neckline, and then I went ahead and did the other side, and I finished off with the middle parts of the neckline, and then I'll combine the two using a slip stitch. Then after combining, I'll go ahead and combine my button and attach my button to the cardigan just opposite through the buttonholes. So this is it. I've gone ahead and attached the buttons. So this is it, it's turning out to be. So this is how my cardigan has turned out to be. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Now, there's one thing left. The yarn, these yarns, which I'll go ahead and seal through. You can see right there. I'll go ahead and seal the yarn through the part which the patches is meeting, through the middle part at which the patches are meeting. So I'll pick my yarn and I'll push it through. I'll go ahead and push it through till the end. At this point, it's not a must that you have to pass it through the middle part of the patches. But this is the best method you can do it to make your work easier. Some will prefer to cut the yarn, but I'll recommend you to, in as much as it's a little bit of a work, I'll recommend you go this way. It will make your work easier instead of going ahead and cut through the thread, or rather the yarn, just straight away. Use it to push through. And at this point, I'm just using the crochet hook. It's a bit of work, but worth it. But worth the work. And then at that point, I'll use my scissors to cut off. So I'll go ahead and work through the rest of the yarns. And this is how my cardigan has turned out to be. And this is the end. The end of the cardigan. So at this point, if you like this video, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I'll meet you on the next